And now we will listen to the testimony of a heart that opened to motherly love, to God's love, and that is the priest, Father Carlos Ballbe Sala from Spain. Let us greet him with a great applauding.
Primero de todo, buenos días a todos y gracias al Padre Zvonimir por invitarme a este festival a dar mi testimonio.
Thank you all, and I would like to thank the Father Zvonimir for calling me to testify, to witness in front of you here.
Tengo 40 años y hace 9 que soy sacerdote de Barcelona.
My name is Litus Ballbe Sala. I'm 40 years old and I have been a priest in Barcelona for 9 years.
Soy el tercero de 4 hermanos y nuestros padres siempre nos han educado en la fe católica.
I'm the third child of 4 siblings, and our parents have always raised us in the Catholic faith.
Tanto en casa como en el colegio nos ha transmitido la fe de una manera sencilla, humilde y sincera.
Both at home and at school, our faith was transmitted to us in a simple, humble, and honest, sincere way.
5 años mis padres me apuntaron a jugar a hockey sobre hierba, un deporte que ha sido mi pasión hasta hoy y me ha marcado toda la vida.
At the age of 5, my parents enrolled me in field hockey, a sport that has remained my passion to this day and has marked my life.
En el colegio nunca fui un modelo de estudiante, ya que mi vida estaba marcada por el deporte.
I was never a model student at school because my life was dedicated to sports.
Siempre aprobaba las asignaturas y me dejaban seguir practicando mi pasión, el hockey.
But I always passed the classes, and they allowed me to continue playing hockey.
A los 15 años se me despertó mi gran sueño, ser reportero de guerra.
At the age of 15, I had my first big dream, to become a war reporter.
Y estudiar periodismo para ayudar con mi trabajo a parar las guerras y hacer un mundo mejor.
I decided to study journalism so that with my work, I could help stop wars and make the world a better place.
A los 16-17 años, mi vida empieza a cambiar, ya que comienzo a jugar con el primer equipo de mi club.
At the age of 16, 17, my life began to change because I started playing for the first team of my club. It was my second dream.
Estar en uno de los mejores clubes de hockey del mundo y me llaman, siendo muy joven, a jugar con mis ídolos.
I was lucky enough to be in one of the best hockey clubs in the world, and they invited me, even though I was young, to play with my childhood role models.
Mi vida se centra en el deporte y en la diversión.
Since then, my life has been focused on sports and entertainment.
En el 2005, después de una promesa a Dios en el Mundial de Hockey Sub-21 en Holanda, voy por primera vez a MEĐUGORJE.
I say this in 2005, after making a promise to God during the World Hockey Championship in the Netherlands, I went to MEĐUGORJE for the first time in August of that same year.
Entonces se resumía en la misa del domingo y muchas veces sin poder comulgar.
My faith up until then had been reduced to Sunday Mass, often even without communion.
Con MEĐUGORJE no me cambió la vida, pero sí que me hizo ver que la fe es mucho más que una idea o una teoría.
That August in MEĐUGORJE in 2005 did not change my life, but it showed me that faith is much more than an idea or a theory.
Me di cuenta que el cristiano auténtico no es el perfecto, sino el que intenta que su fe se demuestre con las obras.
But that an authentic Christian is not a perfect one, but one who tries to make his faith visible through his actions.
Por ello, mis obras seguirían sin demostrar mi fe durante mucho tiempo.
Despite this, my actions did not for a long time still reflect my faith.
El 20 de diciembre de 2006, después de mi segunda visita a MEĐUGORJE, se murió mi abuela.
On December 20th, 2006, after my second visit to MEĐUGORJE, which happened to be also on August that year, my grandmother died.
Mi abuela de 60 nietos.
She was the mother of 12 children and the grandmother of 60 grandchildren.
Siendo yo el nieto 59, pasaba muchas horas con mi abuela y eso me derrumbó.
As the 59th grandchild, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and her death completely devastated me.
Ya había vivido la muerte de dos compañeros de clase unos años antes, pero la pérdida de mi abuela María cambió mi vida.
I had already experienced the death of two schoolmates, but losing my grandmother changed my life forever.
Sabía que si quería volver a verla en el cielo, tenía que cambiar muchas cosas, ya que mi vida se centraba en hockey, fiesta y chicas.
Knowing that I wanted to see her again in heaven, I knew I had to change my life, which at the time revolved around hockey, parties, and girls.
2 semanas más tarde, enero 2007, me llama el seleccionador de España y me dice que estoy en la lista de 23 jugadores que se preparan para los Juegos Olímpicos de Pekín 2008.
2 weeks later, in January 2007, the Spanish national team coach called me and told me that I was on the list of 23 players preparing for the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
Entendí que era el primer regalo de mi abuela.
I took it as a gift from my grandmother.
La única condición que me puso para estar en esta lista es que me tomara en serio.
The only condition the coach set for me was that I may take it seriously,
Ya que siempre he sido muy indisciplinado con todo, incluido el deporte.
because I had always been very undisciplined even in sports.
Me cuidara e hiciera las cosas bien.
He asked me to take care of myself and do things properly.
Durante los siguientes 6 meses empecé a vivir los mensajes de MEĐUGORJE.
For the next 6 months, I began to live the messages from MEĐUGORJE.
Incluso ayunaba pan y agua los miércoles y viernes y nunca tuve ningún problema si teníamos entrenamiento.
I even fasted on bread and water, although I had trainings. Wednesdays and Fridays, I never had any problems.
Quería ir a clase porque nunca iba, ya que nunca me ha gustado estudiar.
I began to attend lectures regularly. Until then, I had almost never attended them because I did not like to study.
Intenté hacer las cosas más o menos bien.
And at night, I tried to behave better.
Iba muy bien, pues conseguimos ganar la liga, llegamos a la final de la Copa de Europa y empezaba a probar casi todo.
Although everything was going well, we won the league again. We played in the European Cup final. I went to lectures and took exams. I felt still an emptiness in my heart.
De tenerlo todo y mis sueños cada vez más cerca,
I had everything, and my dreams were coming true, but something was missing.
que me faltaba.
But something from within was missing. I had everything I wanted, but nothing fulfilled me.
Al final del mes de junio, una semana antes de empezar con la selección,
At the end of June, a week before the start of preparations with the national team for Beijing,
lo que sería todo un año de preparación para los Juegos Olímpicos de Pekín,
priprema reprezentacije za olimpijske igre.
enfermé de un virus que me tuvo 3 semanas en la cama.
Obolio sam
I caught a virus and was in bed for 3 weeks.
Cuando me recuperé, no puedo ir con la selección porque estoy muy débil.
kad sam
When I recovered, I was too weak to join the national team.
Me hicieron un plan específico para recuperarme físicamente durante el mes de agosto.
They made a special plan for me for August and said
Y me dicen que en septiembre me reincorporo con la selección.
i rekli su mi
that I could return in September to train with them.
Mi ilusión era estar con ellos ese verano.
bio sam
I was completely devastated because I had dreamed of spending that summer with the national team.
Voy a hablar con un sacerdote que me recomienda un amigo.
u takvom stanju
I felt so bad that I went to a priest recommended by a friend.
Le cuento toda mi historia y me pregunta si alguna vez he pensado en ser sacerdote.
I told him my story, and he asked me if I had ever thought about becoming a priest.
Al ver mi cara de sorpresa, me dice que aunque no llevara una vida católica, Dios no escoge a los mejores, sino a los que quiere.
kad je vidi
But he saw that I was surprised with his question. He told me that God,
baš katolički Bog
although I do not live Catholic way, God does not choose the best but those he wants.
Sin planes ni ganas de hacer nada.
Kako tog ljeta nisam
Since I had no plans or will to do anything that summer,
Vuelvo a Medjugorje, que la Virgen me dirá lo que tengo que hacer.
rekao mi
he suggested that I go to Medjugorje again and that Our Lady would tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Y recién llegado a Medjugorje,
3 weeks later, as soon as I arrived in Medjugorje,
en uno de sus bancos de allí, y durante la oración de un sábado,
sitting on a bench during Saturday adoration,
por primera vez hice lo que siempre me han dicho en Medjugorje.
for the first time I did what they always say in Medjugorje.
Abrir el corazón.
I opened my heart.
Le pedí a Dios con toda mi alma que yo quería ser feliz.
I asked God with all my heart that I wanted to be happy,
Pero necesitaba llenar ese vacío que tenía en mi corazón.
što god
whatever that meant, because I had to fill the emptiness that I felt in my heart.
Se puso en marcha y a través de su Madre María,
God immediately began to work, and through His Mother Mary,
me dejó muy claro durante esa semana que tenía que discernir la vocación sacerdotal.
He showed me very clearly during that week that I needed to discern the priestly vocation.
El último día de ese tercer viaje a Medjugorje, un 26 de agosto,
poslije
The last day of that third pilgrimage,
después de mucha oración,
nakon mnogo
after much prayer,
confesión de mi vida,
najbolje ispovjedi
after the best confession of my life,
conversación muy especial con un amigo,
i jednog
and a conversation, particular conversation with a friend,
Gospa mi je
Our
pokazala
Lady showed me
Bog zove
that God invites me to be a priest.
nisam
I did not want to become a priest,
me daba paz y llenaba el vacío que tenía en el corazón.
but this decision brought me peace and filled the emptiness in my heart.
A la vuelta del viaje,
po povratku s
After returning from the pilgrimage,
quería renunciar a la posibilidad de jugar los Juegos Olímpicos de Pekín.
razgovarao
I
sam
talked to that priest and I decided to give up the opportunity to play in the Beijing Olympics.
ali mi je rekao on
But he said to me that I should not stop playing hockey
Me había demostrado que estaba conmigo en el deporte.
jer mi je
because God had shown me that He was with me in sports as well.
Que a mis compañeros de equipo de selección esta decisión.
puno sam plakao
I
kad
cried
sam
a
shvatio
lot
tu odluku
when I
s
said this message to
reprezentaciji.
Estaba haciendo algo que no quería.
the friends in the national team players.
Sentía ese vacío.
Radio sam nešto što
I did something that I did not want to, but that brought me peace, and I did not feel that emptiness anymore.
Antes 4 años estuve compaginando seminario y hockey con mi club.
For the next 4 years, I balanced at the same time seminary and hockey in my club.
Cada año iba a Medjugorje, ya que sin ello ni deporte ni vocación funcionaban.
But I had to go to Medjugorje once or twice a year because without it nothing worked, neither sports nor my vocation.
Y me ofrecen estar en la lista de jugadores que preparan los Juegos Olímpicos de Londres 2012.
In August 2011, I was called again by the national team and offered a place on the list of 23 players preparing for the 2012 London Olympics.
Después de hablar con el obispo, fui a Medjugorje para discernir.
nakon
After talking with the bishop and after visiting Medjugorje, and I asked,
La Virgen, como madre que es,
in order to discern,
Gospa mi je kao
Our Lady, as a true mother,
me hizo ver que esta vez sí quería que fuera a las Olimpiadas.
dala jasno do
gave me
znanja da ovaj put želim da
clear,
idem na
told me clearly that this time she wanted me to go to the Olympics.
Tuve la oportunidad de volverlo a intentar.
4 godine
4 years after I refused to go to Beijing, I had a new chance.
A la vuelta de Medjugorje decido pedir un permiso al seminario para intentar ir a Londres.
po povratku iz
After coming back from Medjugorje, I asked permission from the seminary to try to go to London.
bila je
It
to
was
posebna
a special year.
Parábamos de viajar por todo el mundo, pero nunca me quedé sin la misa dominical.
puno smo putovali
We traveled a lot, but I never missed the Holy Mass on Sunday.
Logré ir a los Juegos Olímpicos de Londres y conseguimos diploma olímpico.
na kraju sam
At the end, I went to London
osvojili smo olimpijsku diplomu
and we won
Además, en la
Olympic medal.
pude ir a misa cada día y hablar con muchos deportistas que ven a Dios en el deporte.
In the Olympic Village, I went to Mass every day and talked with many athletes who see God in sports.
Allí me di cuenta de que el deporte es un camino de santidad más.
That is when I comprehended that sports is also a path to holiness.
Para dar gracias a Dios por poder cumplir este gran sueño.
Upon my return from London, I went to Medjugorje again to thank God for allowing me to realize that great dream.
Después de pasar un curso en Bélgica jugando en la Liga belga,
After one season of playing in the Belgian league,
volví al seminario de Barcelona, donde me ordenaron sacerdote el 8 de mayo de 2016.
I returned to the seminary in Barcelona, where I was ordained a priest on May 8th, 2016.
Desde entonces he sido muy feliz.
Since then, I have been very happy.
He tenido momentos buenos y malos.
I have had good and bad moments, difficult moments, successes and failures.
Caídas y buenos momentos.
But less than a year ago,
Tuve una crisis muy fuerte por hacer las cosas mal.
I experienced a major crisis because I neglected prayer. I neglected prayer.
No celebrar bien los sacramentos,
I did not celebrate the sacraments properly.
ya que caí en un activismo que hizo que mi corazón se alejara de Dios y de todo lo aprendido en Medjugorje.
I fell into activism that distanced my heart from God and from everything that I learned in Medjugorje.
Fui llorando al obispo a pedirle ayuda.
I went in tears to my bishop to ask for help,
Como un padre.
and he acted like a father towards me.
Momento de carmelitas que rezaran por mí.
And with a Carmelite nun who prays for me every day.
Teresa de Jesús fundó estos conventos para rezar por los sacerdotes, por su amor a Cristo y a su iglesia.
Saint Teresa of Avila founded these monasteries to pray for priests out of love for Christ and the Church.
Gracias al apoyo de mi familia,
And thanks to the support of my family
de mis amigos sacerdotes,
and friends who are priests,
entre ellos y presentes aquí el padre Marc y el padre Gonzalo, que dio testimonio ayer,
I went to including Father Mark and Father Gonzalo, who testified yesterday here.
a enamorarme de Cristo.
I went to the monthly Ignatian retreats that lasted 1 month in order to fall in love with Christ again, to put my heart back in Christ. Love for my vocation towards God and towards church was brought back.
Dijo que mi vocación la había salvado la Virgen de Medjugorje.
At the end of retreats, the priest told me that my vocation was saved by Our Lady from Medjugorje.
Ir a darle gracias y a no separarme nunca más de ella.
He told me that I can go to her to thank her and that I should never ever distance myself from her.
Es una herida que aún tengo, aunque ya está sanada del todo.
That is a wound which I am still carrying, although it has been completely healed. Therefore, I kindly ask of you
Todos los sacerdotes del mundo,
to pray for me and for all the priests of the world.
como me dijo aquel sacerdote,
As that priest told me,
Dios no escoge a los mejores, sino a quien quiere.
God does not choose the best, but those He wants.
Con nuestras debilidades y fortalezas, virtudes y defectos.
With all our weaknesses, failures, virtues, and vices. Brothers, priests,
No soy ejemplo de nada.
I'm not a role model of anything,
Experiencia,
but out of my humble and little experience,
estáis en crisis,
if you are in crisis,
caído,
if you failed, if your sin imprisons you,
vuestro obispo.
speak to your bishop.
Son vuestros amigos amigos sacerdotes.
Oslonite se na
Rely on your friends, priests.
Los sacerdotes nos tenemos que ayudar los unos a los otros, que se nos reconozca por el amor y el apoyo que nos damos.
Svećenici moraju
Priests,
pomagati
we have to help each other,
i moraju nas
and
prepoznati po
we have to be recognized by love and support that we offer each other.
mladi.
Dear young people,
Ako vas ništa ne
if
ispunjava,
nothing fills you,
Sentís un vacío en vuestro corazón.
ako osjećate
if you feel
prazninu,
emptiness in your heart,
Significa que Dios está llamando a vuestra puerta
to znači
that
da Bog
means
kuca na vaše
that God is knocking at your door,
nuestra vida.
jer on želi
because He
ući u vas.
wants to enter into your life.
Ayudaros a cumplir ese sueño que Él ha puesto en vuestro corazón.
I želi vam
He wants
pomoći
to help you
ostvariti
to
sve
fulfill
što
a
on
dream
stavio u
that
vaše
He
srce.
has put in your heart.
Recogiendo las palabras del Padre Gonzalo de ayer,
Kao što je rekao
As Father Gonzalo yesterday said,
pido que no nos exijáis perfección.
ne tražite od nas
do not ask from us
savršenstvo,
to be perfect,
Darnos vuestra oración, cariño y comprensión.
nego nam
but
pružite vaše
offer us your
molitve,
prayers,
vašu ljubav
your
i
love,
vaše razumijevanje.
and your understanding.
Necesitamos.
Trebamo vas.
We
Puno
need
vam
you.
hvala.
Thank you very much.